Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you are well. It's time for another Friday flip. And one of the things that I've been doing during this coronavirus pandemic, and it's I think day 81 for us in these parts of the quarantine, even though things have begun to open up a little bit, is I've been going through this bin that houses, as a plastic bin that houses completed journals that are about, I think, up to 6 years old. Anything earlier than that are housed in plastic bins that are in a different part of the house. So I'm just kind of going through, and I found this particular journal that I do not believe I've shared really, other than maybe Instagram while I was doing it. So what this is a journal that I made for the 100-day challenge, and you can take a look online and see what that's all about. But what I decided to do that particular year, this is a couple of years ago now, is practice something that I'm not good at. And collage is something that I'm not really sure I understand the principles of, but I thought, what better way to grow, experiment, play than to go through some of my supplies and start doing some collages. Now, I knew that since it was going to be the summertime, that I was going to be on the road and going back and forth with the boat. So I did not want to have something heavy that had to be stacked into bags or airplanes and stuff like that. So what I did was I took cardstock, black cardstock and I cut them into 6x6 squares, punched holes in them, and then that way I could work on each individual piece of paper individually, if you know what I mean. I didn't have to carry this entire thing with me for every single day. And when the project was completed, I went ahead and bound them. So there are roughly about 50 in each one of these. I just basically took one of those book binding rings and just put one through the hole, and it holds it together. Okay, when I find something bigger, I might attach both of them, or maybe use one yarn. We'll see. And there'll probably be a cover, a title on the cover, but at this point, let's get into the flip. So what I'll do today is do the flip of this half, and then for the next Friday flip, you can see the remainder of the journal. Just make sure I'm in frame here. Yeah, that looks good. So again, this challenge was to create a collage every single day. Now, everything here that I use for my collage, and essentially I use ephemera that I had in my stash, collage materials that I found in magazines. Some were photographs that I found in my stash that, were duplicates. We all have those, right? Back in the day when we were printing photos, I always have extra photos lying around, so why not use them? So every single day, there's kind of a collage. And what was really fun was when you take a look at, sometimes the piece calls to you. So I found, for example, this piece of artwork from some magazine. And so when I saw that piece, it actually made me think about visiting the aquarium, right? So kind of creating something that looks like that. So as you can see, sometimes it's just playing with color blocking. Sometimes it's more specifically an image that I'm trying to capture. But it's every single day doing something. And one of the things that I found that was really great about it, it's a great way to use up the stash of papers that we all accumulate. If you do any art crafting, we've got paper. So for example, that comes from an outdated chart of Boston Harbor. Why not use it? These are wallpaper samples. I just think it's kind of fun. So I have not seen this journal since I finished it, so it's kind of fun to take a look at it. This, for example, was inspired by one of those recyclable, reusable bags that you got from Target, right? So inspiration's where you find it. Just, sometimes I tried cutting things out and just using it against a wallpaper sample that just had the scene that looked like, a storm of some kind. So, like I said, it's very easy to do, and I found this actually very simple and lightweight because, like I said, at any given point, I'm dealing with one piece of paper. So if I knew I was going to be going somewhere for a couple of days, all I had to do was take those many sheets of cardstock with me, and I kept them all black as the background just so that I would have some consistency, that's hard for me to say, some consistency, yeah, we'll go with that, around it. The Kentucky Derby must have been happening around this particular time frame because, the hats from the Derby are one of the things that are kind of fun to look at and admire and wonder how anybody can walk around and sit in those with those things, but it's fun. So again, this actually was a way for me to try out something that was completely outside my comfort zone. Some days are more complicated than others. Some days I tried and kept it really simple. So, when I don't have a lot of time, I basically cut out circles from some piece of paper, and I'll bet you money that was wallpaper samples, right? There's no reason to store all of these pieces of paper in my boxes that I never get to see again. So this is kind of a fun walk down memory lane in terms of just seeing, what I was inspired by any particular time. And there's something really simple about knowing that I'm going to do a collage, because sometimes I know people do a lot more planning than I do. I'm sure that that's true. But for me, a lot of times I would just sit down in the morning or some point during the day when I had some time and think, okay, what do I want to do? Sometimes I had more time. Sometimes I had no time, right? So we're just going to use some markers on a piece of paper. So you can see some collages. Now, one of the things I did find out at the end of this project was how much collaging entered my regular journal keeping as well, just because I had gotten into the habit of doing it and I just found it so fun. Now, here's an example of a page that I just left it alone. I was going to use this as a background. It's a piece of paper that I was stenciling with an alphabet stencil on something else. And I just cleaned the stencil on a piece of paper. And when I was going to use it for a background, I just so love how that looks by itself. I didn't touch it. And let's see, I think we're coming to the end of this particular section of it. Yep, I think there's page 50. So that's what I have for you today. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. If you do the 100-day project any year and you have videos that I could take a look at, please let me know. Leave links down below. And I hope you are well. If you so choose, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to be notified of my videos as they come up. I will talk to you next week. Have a great one. Bye.